All right, thanks very much for the for inviting me to present. So my name is Katie Reuther. I'm a faculty member in biomedical engineering at Columbia University and also run a medical device accelerator there called Columbia BiomedX. In a few weeks, I'll actually be joining the Penn and CHOP community as incoming executive director of Penn Health-Tech, which is one of the programs that Jeffrey mentioned, and also joining the faculty as a practice associate professor in bioengineering. So the goal of this presentation is to share with this group how we've been leveraging some of the institutional CTSA resources to teach entrepreneurship. So I'll share a little bit about that, our experience at Columbia, but also a little bit about other programs that are involved regarding different resources and educational training. So our journey at Columbia, and also my journey with biomedical entrepreneurship, really began with support from the Coulter Foundation. So we received a grant to build a program to support and accelerate health technology innovation. And that program really includes three main buckets or elements. That's funding and resources for translational projects, support and mentorship from industry and business mentors, and then education as well, which is really the topic of today's presentation. And so this has evolved into a program called Columbia BiomedX, but also collaborating closely with our CTSA, and I'll share more about that in a moment. So kind of building off of the model of Coulter and the BiomedX program, Columbia has built out several different accelerators across life sciences and physical sciences with the goal of ultimately commercializing academic research. And I'll point out in particular the Irving Institute, which is Columbia's CTSA, and this program is run by Mario Romani, who's on the call as well. This is an example of kind of leveraging the CTSA to plug in a translational therapeutics accelerator, and we work closely with that group as well. Since there was a lot happening at Columbia, as we just heard from Jeffrey at Penn, the institutional kind of structure was put in place called the Lab to Market Accelerator program that provides support as well as tactical and strategic guidance for some of our programs. And so now specifically indicating how we've been collaborating with our CTSA, we have unified our life sciences accelerator programs across medical devices and therapeutics to call them the Life Science Accelerator program. So we have programming as well as an educational course for all of our life sciences accelerators. So how we kind of plug in our educational component into our program is that we gauge faculty interests and kind of get pre-proposals from faculty developing new technologies in life sciences. We then screen them and invite a subset to participate in our educational programming. And then after our course, they then submit a full application or proposal for funding support from our programs. The faculty have the option to work with graduate students in this in a 4-credit course. And the way that we kind of structure this is it's lectures and workshops, but we also include domain-specific breakouts for medical devices and therapeutics. The inspiration for a lot of our educational curriculum is sort of listed here. So a lot of the key players, including biodesign, I-Core, as well as the C3I program that Kathleen mentioned, the Concept to Clinic Commercializing Innovation program, and that's sort of modeled after this Coulter process. For the educational component, it's about 6 weeks up front, and they're really focusing on 3 key areas. It's validating the problem, validating the business case, as well as introducing some topics around de-risking commercialization. The second component of the course, which is optional for faculty but required for enrolled students, covers and dives a little bit deeper into commercialization and entrepreneurships, including startups and investing. So far, we've educated over 300 faculty and students across Columbia's campus, and our programs themselves have funded and supported about 100 projects in life sciences. 20 of those have exited the university in the form of a license or startup or licensed to industry or startup. And then they've received a lot of follow-on funding as well. And that could be from government, R01 grants, SBIR grants, or professional investors. One of the things that we evaluated when we built this course was a self-assessment of knowledge. So we looked pre and post-course for participants on various topics around medical device or technology commercialization. And what we found was that the participants felt like they were more knowledgeable in these areas after participating in our educational course. We also evaluated just their level of satisfaction with what we were providing in the course. And this is specifically for that first part of the course that includes both faculty and students. And in general, folks are pretty satisfied with the educational curriculum. I'll also just share a couple testimonials from faculty. They really appreciated the structured assignments and they felt like it really moved their work forward in tangible ways. I really want to point out this third bullet that most of the faculty said, hey, we plan to use this material that we developed for future funding of our work. And that could be an R01 grant, it could be an SBIR grant for a startup, it could be venture funding as well. The faculty also really appreciated the student engagement and participation and helping them work through the assignments. And it was really mutually beneficial for both groups because the students felt like they were developing skills translatable to industry. And in some cases, this influenced their career path. So that's what we're doing at Columbia. And so I wanted to take a moment to share about other educational CTSA resources and credit Molly Wasco, who's also on the call today, for some of this data that is in this slide and as well as on the next two slides. One of the things in terms of thinking about the CTSA is many folks are engaging in this educational programming through these optional modules on commercialization. And so we found about greater than a third of the CTSAs are doing this, including Columbia. And another program that actually just got a chance to participate in was through University of Michigan as well. And they also included this program as this Fast Forward Medical Innovation program as an optional module for their CTSA renewal. There's also this I-Core at NCATS program, which about a third of the CTSAs are currently participating in. And then when we look overall, optional modules in commercialization and or I-Core at NCATS, greater than 50% of the CTSAs are doing this. So what is I-Core at NCATS? So this is a 5-week entrepreneurial training program where the faculty are really engaged in this customer discovery process of really understanding who is the customer, what are their pains and gains, why do they care, and really laser focused on life sciences, medical devices, and therapeutics. So you could read more about that in the citation there. They do some really great work with this program. And again, this is a slide from Molly out of University of Alabama, Birmingham. But what I really like about this slide is it sort of demonstrates this pipeline of innovation from this early exploration or ideation phase to ultimately execution and implementation. And there's various ways that we can think about education throughout, upfront around really understanding the problem, whether the solution is going to be feasible, and then ultimately, is there going to be a business model for that solution? So I want to close with just a few lessons learned of us working in this space for several years at Columbia. One is that from our experience, involving students and faculty in education can work really well and ultimately provides this strategic alignment with our university mission about teaching, research, and impact, as well as the CTSA training focus. The collaborations between the CTSA, other schools, programs, and tech transfer can be really powerful and efficient if done correctly. I'll also note that as we've seen, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, course for credit, boot camps, workshops, etc. And I think that's a good thing. Different flavors and variety in educational program around timing, expectations, etc. can really be beneficial for these various stakeholders. And ultimately, there are a lot of stakeholders here, including students, faculty, researchers, staff. So as we approach our programs, we want to make sure we're managing expectations as best as we can. So thanks very much. Again, look forward to joining the Penn community. Happy to take any questions in the chat.